Hey, good morning. My name is Andrea Smith. I am so grateful to be here with you today. I'm the pastor here at West, and we welcome you. We welcome you if you're here in the room with us. A special shout out to all of those that are worshiping with us online. Love seeing you chat in the chat room. I'm so glad you're able to worship from work or enjoying the beautiful day. So cool to be able to experience that aspect of community with you. If you are here for the first time or if you are newer to West, we extend a huge welcome to you. If you are here as a result of Amped Camp, we're really grateful that you chose to entrust your children to our Amped Camp team. They're going to have a blast today. I think today is Laffy Taffy Day, and so they're going to have lessons about flexibility and all kinds of stuff. So they're going to have a meaningful experience this morning, and I hope that you do too. If you'd like to know more about West, you can scan the QR code that you see on the screen, or you can visit our VIP station out front. We have a gift that we would like to give you, but also no pressure. Like, we're not here to cram West down your throat. We just want to be in community with you however you desire. And a huge shout out and thank you to all the people, our online community, our in-person community, for making Amped Camp possible. The phone rang the other night at like 9 o'clock. Elaine called me and she's like, we just got 2 more kids. We're up to 27. And then the next morning it rang at 7 o'clock. She's like, we just got 2 more kids. We're up to 29. And we're so excited that you have chosen to make West your experience for your children these next 3 weeks. And so thank you, West people, for buying all the stuff off the Amazon wish list and the sign up genius and all that kind of stuff. So a huge thank you. Today is going to be a different but an exciting day. We are continuing in our Lenten series. Lent is the 40 days from the day after Mardi Gras, Ash Wednesday, up until Easter. And it's a time of reflection and introspection and trying to think about those last weeks of Jesus' life. And whether you come to this space like believing the whole Jesus story or not, we respect that space and that journey. We're going to talk about his last words. And we've been talking about those. Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. Woman, behold your son. Son, behold your mother. He redefined family, and family does not have to be biology. Family is being in community with one another. My God, we talked about this last week. My God, how and why have you forsaken me? Today we are going to dive into I thirst, and we're going to talk about being thirsty. And then we're going to do that for just a few minutes, and then the really special part is our team is back from Uganda, and they had an amazing journey and trip, and you're going to hear from them. And so I'm so excited about that, and you're going to get to see just a little bit of what you do as a faith community on the other side of the world. So grateful for their being here and their sharing this morning. And also, I want to let you know what's coming up next Sunday. So next Sunday is Palm Sunday. That's the Sunday that starts Holy Week. It's when Jesus would have ridden in or on the donkey into Jerusalem, and then it set the events that happened over the next 7 days in order, and those events give us who we are and why we do what we do. And so next Sunday, we're going to do something different. We don't typically have Holy Week services here at West like we've had in a more traditional church. And so instead of being in here for worship next Sunday, we're going to start off with the sacrament of infant baptism. And then we are going to do a Stations of the Cross. And you are going to have the opportunity, if you would like, no pressure, to carry the cross a little ways if you would like. I'm going to send out an email tomorrow and ask if you would like to do that. And then you can always decide in the spur of the moment if you want to do that as well. But I'm really excited about next Sunday. It's going to be a powerful, powerful way to start off with the celebration of Palm Sunday with a baptism. And then we will end, by nailing nails in the cross. It will be a powerful Sunday. So I hope you will be here. And guess what, online people? grateful Josh is working his magic. And so by next Sunday, he will have figured out this great idea that I had to not have worship in here. And I don't think it's a great idea. That was sarcasm. But it's a lot of stress for Josh. But we've talked, and we are going to be able to live stream the whole Stations of the Cross. And so I'm excited to be able to share that with you next Sunday. We're really glad that you're here. We hope that you find today to be meaningful and relevant in your life and helps you just grow deeper in your walk with life and love and what we call God. So I want to read the passage to you this morning that we are talking about, and it comes from the Gospel of John. Now, before I read it, I want to ask you something. When is a time that you remember being really, really thirsty? Like, when is a time that you remember just your mouth is dry and you were really, really thirsty? We launched West 15 years ago as a campus of Williamson's Chapel, which is a large United Methodist church about a mile from here up on the corner of Brawley and Williamson's. And the first Sunday, I was scared, just so scared. Scared that no one would come, scared that something would go wrong. I was an associate pastor, so I was not used to preaching every week, and we'd been having preview services, and so I'd preached more in a month than I'd probably preached in like a year, and just so much anxiety. And I got up here and was starting the message, and I noticed that like my tongue was sticking to the roof of my mouth. And someone, not joking, told me later that they were worried that I was having a stroke, that is how bad my language was sounding. And my words would not come out. And I believe in a level of professionalism when I'm talking, and so like I didn't want to say, hey guys, I don't really know what's wrong with me right now, but none of the words are coming out of my mouth. And thank goodness for Adam Lumley. He knew me for so many years at Williamson's Chapel. He's a part of our worship team, and he comes out here and he goes, here, I think you need this. And I'm like, I just need a minute. And so I drank some water and was able to continue. And the funny thing is, one of our core values here at West is we like to have fun. We believe that Jesus, fully human and fully divine, would have had fun. And that's why we have a rubber chicken. We believe that all are welcome, even rubber chickens. And so if you're new to West, you're like, what's the chicken on the stage? It's a part of our core values that we like to have fun, but we also like to make a point, and all people are welcome here at West. And so anyway, the next Sunday, somebody in a sense of fun had made me like a hard hat with 2 cans or places for water bottles on the side and a straw that would go into my mouth, because they were like, that was painful. That was so painful to watch. And it would have been so painful that day, standing on that hillside and watching the 3 gentlemen die over time. I mean, it was not an instant death. We've talked over the past several weeks about the different things that Jesus said, asking for forgiveness of the people that were out there, and then calling out to his mom, and then also calling out to God and saying, why have you left me? And then he says these words, after, woman, behold your son, and son, behold your mother. After this, knowing that everything was complete, in order to fulfill the scripture, Jesus said, I am thirsty. A jar full of sour wine was nearby, so the soldiers soaked a sponge in it, placed it on a hyssop branch, and held it up to his lips. And then after he received that, he spoke his final 2 phrases. Thirsty. When do you remember being so thirsty? It was the first trip that we took to Uganda, actually just 15 years ago. And we were on this bus that would take us all over the countryside. When you land in Entebbe, and then Nebi, where we go, is about an 8-hour bus ride or van ride from the airport, and then we stayed at a little hotel, and then would go experience different parts of Acres of Hope, which was there in idea but not in like buildings or anything like that. Pastor Jeffrey, that you're going to hear about and see some pictures of in a little while, he had all this going on, but it was still like in the very beginning stages. He had some architectural drawings and vision. And the culture there, as you can imagine, is so different than what is here. And we had done a lot of work together as a team. The last thing that we ever want to do is be those people that think, oh, we know what you need. So when we go into an experience building a relationship with folks in a different culture, in another part of the world, we do not go in with arrogance and thinking that we know and we have all the answers. And so we go and we do a lot of teamwork on don't ask for things. Like, don't be needy. When you go into these experiences, you know that your host, they always give you their best. So you take whatever they give, you take it, you receive it with gratitude and grace. And so the second day, like after we had landed and we were doing the 8-hour bus ride, folks on our team were coming to me and they were like, Andrea, I'm so thirsty. And we didn't want to be jerks, but we didn't know what to do. Like, we legit had no water, no access to water. When you stop at a bathroom, it's not like, you go to a Quick Trip. You can't just go in and grab a soda and the places that we were going. And again, 15 years ago, very different than it is now. Now you can go and you can go get snacks and stuff like that. Back then you can't, and you certainly cannot drink the water. We were so thirsty. By the second day, we never asked that day. By the second day, just privately, we went to Jeffrey and said, hey, would you mind could we go somewhere and buy water? And the most powerful thing about this part of the Acres of Hope story is Jeffrey is just one of those people that you meet in life that they're just amazing. And all we had to do was ask for water that one time. And then every day there would be boxes of big gallon or liters of water on our van ready for us. He always gave us more than we needed. After that first trip and that whole conversation around water, we came back and life continued. Our partnership was growing and blossoming. And then this thing here in America happened. I want to show you a picture of it. Maybe you remember it. It actually was a worldwide phenomenon. The ALS Ice Bucket or Ice Water Challenge, Ice Bucket Challenge. And someone had nominated me to do it, and then the idea came that we should do it as a church. And so I sent out a Friday email of just all the different things that are going on at West. So I sent that out, and Pastor Jeffrey reads our communication, and he wrote me back, and he's like, really? You're really going to do this? And he wasn't being ugly. But I thought about it from his perspective. We were taking something and just throwing it on ourselves or other people for a great, great cause. And it raised over $220 million worldwide. And we certainly didn't want to say anything negative about the cause or this event because it was bringing awareness. And the whole point was not just to pour some water over your head, but when you got nominated, you made a donation to the ALS fund. But Jeffrey's like, do you understand you're throwing away what we so desperately do not have? And what we need. So we gave full respect to the trend, but we didn't participate. We made a donation, but we didn't pour the ice water because our family, community on the other side of the world, it would have brought harm to him mentally, emotionally, if we'd done it. There's something about thirst. And when Jesus says he's thirsty, unlike the other statements that he'd said, he is revealing a most vulnerable need. Like, my God, why have you forsaken me? That's his vulnerability in his just feeling completely abandoned by his God. But when he says, I thirst, he is revealing that he has a physical need that he cannot tend to. And there is something humbling for us when we have a need that we cannot suffice or fix. So I thought it was ironic or a God thing that when Lance, the leader of this team, reached out and said, hey, we'd already talked about wanting them to share. Do you want us to share, before Easter, after Easter? I said the perfect day would be the day of I thirst. And I want you to hear the stories that they're going to share in the context of understanding that we follow, we worship, we honor, we devote our lives to one who also was thirsty, dehydrated, could barely breathe. And one of his last phrases were crying out his need. And someone met that need. And we are that someone for Pastor Jeffrey and what went from 0 kids 15 years ago to over 300 now that are a part of Acres of Hope. I want you to take a look at this video montage of their experience while the team comes up to share. It's electric. Who knew y'all had moves like that? I'm impressed. You could be the dancers for the worship team. So I want you to take just a moment. It's all right. It's humbling. Yeah. I want you to take just a minute. Tell everyone who you are, and the mic's ready, right? All right. Do we need to unmute it? Okay. All right. Just talk.
Okay. Hi, my name is Lisa Lindsay, and I've been going to West since the very beginning, but this was my first mission trip, and it was amazing. And I did exaggerate those dance moves a bit.
Thanks, Lisa.
Hi, I'm Sandy Albert, and this was my 4th trip to Acres of Hope, and yeah, she did exaggerate those dance moves a little bit for the camera. You did notice who was not in the dance.
Were you videoing, Sandy? Of course you were.
Hey, I'm Lance Armstrong. That was my 7th trip, and I've been with Acres of Hope from the very beginning.
My name is Dallas Armstrong, and this was my 2nd trip to Acres of Hope.
Awesome. Very good. So we're going to start with Lisa. Our question for you is, what was one moment or instance that stuck with you?
Well, I'm sort of going to deviate slightly. There were really 2 that really built into the 3rd one. The first one was that first day. It was a Saturday, and all those kids, which you saw, some of them, just the joy and grateful and so thankful that we were there. And like you said, the thirst. They wanted to know everything about us. And then they taught us some things about us through the weeks, which was quite cool as far as you get into history. And so that first day, the energy and just love. I mean, you're out in the middle of a field, and it was just overpowering. The second day was Sunday, so it was church service. It was also women empowerment. And imagine it's outside, you're under tents, probably 200 to 300 children, another 100 adults singing, praying. They all knew the words. They're up dancing. You just felt like God's presence was there. It was, brought me to tears, just, that moment. And then as the week went on, the last day when we were leaving, this young girl, probably 13-ish, came up to us and said, can I pray for you? And I'm thinking about your journey home. And I'm thinking, typical American, have a safe trip, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. No, she wrote a 3-page prayer that she had spent a lot of time doing. It was, thank you for coming. It started the whole journey and taking your time and then spending it with us. And we were so grateful and so happy that you were here. And we want you to have a safe trip. And God, thank you. And make them continue to be prosperous so that we can continue to help them. And I think that she took that and did all of that and said that prayer was just amazing. And I guess for me, I took it as that whole week, they were always grateful, always thankful. And it was personal. It wasn't like, it's nice to meet you. Mm-hmm. It was like, you made the most impact on me. And so that's my one thing that I'm going to try to do. And I'll give up now.
Sandy, where did you see thirst?
So I was thinking about this, obviously, before today, and then, listening a little bit ago. So I saw thirst a couple of different ways. One is, as Lisa mentioned, the incredible, insatiable. They want knowledge, right? They want knowledge. They want to get to know us. They want to get to know America. They ask questions constantly. They want to see pictures, right? They want to learn. They want to learn about, like you said, they want to get to know us. They want to know when we're coming back. They also want knowledge of skills, right? They want to learn. They get up at 4 a.m. to go to school, to start studying before school actually starts. The other part of thirst, to me, was about relationships. And like I said, this was my 4th trip to Uganda, but I think the last 2 trips, really, I got more comfortable being there, and I got to see the thirst for that connection, that piece that I knew I got from them, but they wanted from us. So I'm gonna steal your guys' thunder a little bit. So when we went in 2024, Lance and Dallas taught some of the students how to paint. I think you had about 13 or 14 students, and they were painting the outside of a building. And they taught them all the skills, the mechanical skills. They modeled for them. They did some debriefing afterwards to talk about how to budget for painting. And then they painted when we were gone. We left, and they painted, I think, the kitchen and a couple other things in 2025. So fast forward this last trip, Dallas and Lance are painting again. They didn't have to teach a whole lot, at least from my perspective. The students just did it, and they wanted to do it for themselves, for the community, for the school, but also, I think, for Lance and Dallas. Excuse me. I think that relationship that you had and have with the students is what made them thirsty for more knowledge. And I think that there's a way that we can expand on that. I know Jeffrey has talked about expanding vocational opportunities, and he talked a little bit about it when we were there. How can we continue to help with whether it's teaching sewing or cooking or carpentry? And then how can we expand that knowledge beyond when we're there? How can we continue that connection when we are back here sitting in America? But what kind of check-ins can we do? You know, utilizing technology, the things that weren't available 15 years ago are available now. So how can we do regular check-ins with the students to continue that connection, those relationships, and that skill building?
One of the things that both of you have spoken about that I have always been so impressed with Jeffrey, and I know Lance will back this up because he was on that very first trip 15 years ago, is there's not a culture of begging. There is no, and if Jeffrey finds out that the kids are like, hey, can you give me some stuff? Jeffrey, he will come down hard. He's like, that is not who we are. And one of the most beautiful things about this partnership that started 15 years ago with just meeting him, and we were with a different nonprofit that was just sort of scoping it out. We had no idea we were going to be the initial founders of the Acres of Hope International and that kind of, and the child sponsorship program, was that Jeffrey wanted to be self-sustaining. He did not want to rely on other people to do for him. He is all about, and his staff and the teachers and the house moms and all those folks, they are about empowering them so that they can grow up and be contributing members of society. And Lance is going to talk about this, and maybe Sandy in a minute. But one of the most powerful things is to watch these children that we started sponsoring 15 years ago. Now they are in like university. The young woman that I sponsor, Daphne, she is studying to be a nurse. She is top of her class. And so it's so powerful to see how they are creating a culture of gratitude, one that we could work on having a little more of here in the United States. They are so grateful for everything. They're grateful for the opportunity to go to church. How many hours were y'all in church that day?
It was probably 3-4 hours.
Okay, so, and Lance was going to say it wasn't that bad, because there have been times that we've been there like
all day,
like 8 hours of church, and I love church, but I don't need 8 hours, and and y'all really don't either, and but they're so happy to be there. Like, y'all are checking out your watches or your phones now, going, how much longer before I can go to Dario? But they are so grateful, and it's so just amazing. So I'll stop talking. And Lance, what surprised you the most?
From this trip?
Or whatever, what surprised you the most? That's all I have written. So whatever you want to say.
Okay. All right, I'm going to probably talk about two different things. One will be about the sponsorship that we've kind of alluded to at the beginning. My small group, after we came back from that first trip, we started getting some pictures of kids that, you know, needed to be sponsored. And the one you see right there, that's the initial picture of Happy. She does not look happy. So we said as a group, we're like, we need to make this girl happy. Now, she is one of 6. So somehow her family chose her to be part of the Acres of Hope family. That's the first time I got to meet her there. So that was our initial meeting. And you can see as the pictures scroll, this was probably 2018 here, I believe. She's getting big, so she's the tallest Armstrong in the family, by far. You know, yeah. Just wait for the next couple pictures. This is now. So she is in nursing school, and her and Daphne are really good buddies, and she's top of her class as well, and doing really well. And that's the last day I think we got to see her before we flew back. But what was the question again? I already forgot.
What surprised you the most?
Well, talking about happy, it's just $61 a month. I mean, look at the difference we made in just one person's life, and now she's got a shot. She's got a chance to make it out there, and she wants to be a nurse and help people and do that type of things. So you know, it's monetarily, it's not that big of an impact on us to do something like that. To switch gears on what surprised me or what has impacted me is 15 years ago, Andrea and I and a group of 18 of us or so were standing over an acre of land that Jeffrey asked us to pray over. There's a mango tree and woods, and that's it. And he said, will you pray over the land? I've got these these blueprints and things that I would like to do. And I thought they were pretty hefty goals for him to do. So we prayed over the land, and then, the story of coming back and, raising the money. But 15 years later, he has got aquaponics. He came to the U.S. and learned aquaponics from Ava School at South Iredell. He's got 5 ponds. He's got a piggery. He's got chickens, goats, cows. He's got a boys' dorm, a girls' dorm, a primary school, secondary school, nursery school, pod houses, and he is literally self-sustained. And what the coolest thing is he's always growing, and anytime he gets any resistance of the Ugandan government, asking for stuff, or COVID, when COVID kicked in, obviously everything shut down. They had to, send the kids home. He just keeps pushing forward. He keeps the faith and keeps pushing forward. So his newest thing is he's bought some land. We saw it 2 years ago in Pakwatch, which is about 45 minutes away from Nebby. There he's rocking Westy there, and he bought this land. It's about 2 acres on the Nile, and he said, my plan is to have a resort here, or have a place where people can stop, and it's across the water is the park where everybody goes to the safaris. So his plan is to have a internet cafe, and people would pay to come to the internet cafe and hang out, and then he would shuttle them back and forth to the park. By boat, yeah, via boat. So he has a boat. He just needs a motor. He's got a boat without the motor. Just minor details. But this place is incredible. I mean, 2 years ago it was nothing. Now he's almost got an entire fence around it that he's built, and he's got 2 docks that he's having built. And he said next time that we're there, it will be up and running. So 6 months or so, it'll be up and running. So what surprised me the most is his faith, his determination, and nothing is too big. He believes in a mighty, mighty God, and he knows that God will always provide for him.
Awesome. Dallas, what is different in you because of Uganda?
I would say probably my perspective on needs and wants and thirst, bringing it back to the message, of what we want here in the U.S. versus what they want and what they need. They thirst for, like we said, knowledge and getting a career and getting money and providing. And we thirst for the next iPhone and the next BMW and things that don't really impact our life in such a way that is necessary. So there were kids running around Acres of Hope with like old bicycle tires and like soccer balls, and that was about it for their toys and stuff. And they're very resourceful of things that they need versus what they want. They know that they need food, a roof, clothes, education. And they got all that, and they are so, so happy. Versus us, who has all that and more, we still want and we still thirst for things that aren't very necessary. So coming back with that knowledge and seeing it firsthand was powerful to myself, and like understanding what I need versus what I want, and yeah, that comparison, I guess.
Yeah. When Pastor Jeffrey, after we went the first time and we prayed over the land, and Lance said lofty goals, I thought he was crazy. I'm like, there's no way we're going to be able to help you do this. And then we had our first launch service of West, and simultaneously Rob Fuquay, the pastor at Williamson's Chapel, where we were given birth from, that Sunday on Easter said, instead of going and buying a new boat, or instead of going and buying a second home or a condo in the mountains or at the beach, how about you build some pod houses? And by Friday, we had $75,000. And then with the pod houses came this need for child sponsorship. So Myers Park United Methodist walked alongside us and helped us with Jeffrey build this program. And Jeffrey came over here to meet with Myers Park. They weren't, like, oh yeah, we'll just do this. They wanted to meet him, vet him, make sure that he wasn't a con, because as you can imagine, sometimes in developing nations, cons exist and they will take advantage of situations and people, and so they wanted to vet him. And while Jeffrey was here, he went to the grocery store with someone, and he's like, oh wow, like it was unsettling for him to go and just see all of it. He's like, you all have so much. And then he was driving down the road with one of the leaders, and he said, what are those spaces? Are those people's homes? And he was driving by one of the storage facilities, and they were like, no. And he's like, well, what are they then? And that person told me that in that moment they were ashamed, because that's what we do to put all our extra stuff, because our houses aren't big enough to hold all our stuff, so we need more storage. And after that first trip, I came back and I was just ashamed of my gluttony in stuff, like, my clothes and jewelry and all that kind of stuff. Gluttony, it changed me too, Dallas, so thank you for that. And Dallas, your generation does an amazing job of thrifting and being intentional, so kudos to you and being a representative of your generation. The last question: if West shows up again, which of course we will, and if you want to go to Uganda, we will make that happen for you. It costs what, $2,500? Okay. All in. Okay, $3,500. It will be, this is not an infomercial, it will be the best $3,500 you have ever spent. It will change your life and change your circle of friends. It will change you, and then it changes the world. So it's not a voyeurism kind of thing. It's about relationships and learning new skills. And the teams are always so intentional. It's not just to go and watch or go and drop off some rich people's stuff. It's about relationship. So if and when West shows up again, what should we do?
Couple things. You said there were 300 students there. There's actually 650.
Oh, wow.
They went from 400 last year to 650 this
Holy
year.
cow.
So part of me says some organization, because they have to be able to manage all of that. I think they've gotten a reputation, because we're starting to see, basically, I do use Sandy as an example. You might have seen Jonathan, the really big tall kid. That's one of hers. Because she sponsors Jonathan, that mother can now she has enough money to have her son come, one of the younger children. So that one act made a huge difference as far as you start seeing siblings there. It's a roof over their head that they might not have before. That's an education. Those children realize how privileged they are to be there. I think really what Sandy was saying To graduate, you have to have a high school project. And sewing, that's where that internship can come, and thinking, they may think one thing and we might be able to say, maybe think bigger. Can you do their websites and things of that nature? Teach them skills that they can use in other places.
As they ask us.
As they ask,
Right.
ask. It's like, what do you need, and things of that nature. Carpentry, they don't have shelves. I thought that was an interesting observant. I was like, there's no shelves. And even in hotels, there's no shelves.
Probably because I'm not being funny, the termites eat them.
Oh, well, that's
so, yeah.
Yeah, that might be it.
All right, cool. Let's move on to
Yes.
Sandy. Okay. Sorry.
So yeah, I think I said that earlier, but I do think they want to learn. So asking them, what is it, that type of skill? What do you want to learn? And then how can we leverage our in-person impact, but then bring that back and say, what can we do beyond when we're here, right? When we come back to America. For one, I know you asked Dallas first experiences, and I know that you were with me on my first trip, and I was scared and completely overwhelmed.
Really?
That very first trip back in 2018, and honestly, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing there, and I thought to myself, why? Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? You talked about the lack of resources and the lack of supplies and things like that. And I thought, all right, I can do this. I can do this. And as you see on the picture, that was actually back in 2018. And then this little boy approached me on Sunday morning before church, and he said to me, "Will you sponsor me?" And I didn't know what to say. And I said, "Yes, but I have to go to church first." So let's talk after church. I really had no idea what to say in that moment. And he has changed my life more than I've changed his. So when we go back, because I will go back, to hopefully see him graduate and move on to college, which is what he wants. But I also have a second son there that I sponsor. When we go back, finding out what is it they need and to continue to build that connection, because it really is about relationships. They want to have relationships with us, and we have the ability now to do that remotely, just figuring out how we can continue to move forward.
Just to reiterate what they've said so far is for Jeffrey to have everything he has at Acres of Hope, he has a relationship with the Ugandan government, which is good, and they want to see a trade school either on campus or affiliated with him. So it's back to learning trades. So with the paint projects that Dallas and I have done, here's a picture there of us painting, or them painting the back of the building. That they can get certified as painters. So there's probably about 6 or 8 of them that were really, really good painters. And they'll be able to earn a living at Acres of Hope or outside Acres of Hope, maintaining, the buildings and painting. So it's back to learning skills that they need for, lifetime skills. And I think Sandy said that, what are skills that we can take with us there, or something that that they would need to learn to carry on, with what they need to do to survive. So there's a lot that we can do from the ground here or actually in person.
Being last has its downsides, because I was going to say everything that you guys already said. So, yeah, trade school is a big one. Basically the 4th year, like secondary 3 has to be certified by the government before they go to secondary 4 with a trade. So some of these boys, they're already secondary 5, secondary 6, but I know at least 2 of them are going to use painting as their trade. So the government's going to come by and they're going to have to give them a project, probably paint one of the pot houses, and get certified in that trade. So reiterating again, getting people that specialize in stuff like painting and going over there and coordinating with Jeffrey and saying, how can we teach these students trades and careers that they can take and get money for their families and everything. Things like cooking, sewing, anything that can put food on the table, literally, with cooking, and just kind of increase their knowledge, yeah.
Cool. Well, will you join me in thanking our team for their journey? Thank you, guys. Let us pray. Gracious God, we are so grateful for the opportunity to be a presence in Acres of Hope with Pastor Jeffrey, walking alongside he and all the other partners that are here in the U.S. and beyond. It is something that we are very grateful for. And thank you for these folks and what they did in Uganda to make all this happen, for bringing the message back to us, to inspire us to continue to build those relationships. God, may we be mindful of what we're thirsty for, because the next iPhone, like Dallas said, we get our priorities so mixed up sometimes. Let us remember the one who showed us what it was to be thirsty, and then let us be like the gentleman that gave him what he needed. Let us be those hands and those feet for people at Acres of Hope and everywhere. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. I invite you to stand and sing. There is a love that is so big that it fills every need and every thirst that we have. That is the love of the one who showed us what it means to sacrifice and what to live. So as we prepare to go to Holy Week and Palm Sunday, may we be mindful about thinking about the cross and what we're thirsty for, and do our actions of thirst, do they make a difference in this world, or are they for self-gain? Let's wrestle with that this week. Go in peace.